top soccer players are revered the world over. To many, they are the athlete perfected. And in a World Cup final, the soccer ball must be as perfect as its stars. So how do they design the most technically advanced soccer ball ever for the world's biggest sporting event? How do they do it? Soccer. It is the most popular sport on earth, no matter how many Americans might disagree. The obsession began 150 years ago when a bunch of upper-class English schoolboys decided to spend the afternoon kicking an inflated pig's bladder. Such were the benefits in those days of paying for a private education. Although the rules of the sport have changed very little over the years, there's been a revolution in the design of its most important element, the ball. To find out how they created the ultimate soccer ball for the 2006 World Cup, we've come here to the sleepy Bavarian village of Scheinfeld in Germany. This is home to sports manufacturer Adidas and their top-secret soccer research facility. It was here that designers Hans, Klaus, and Harold spent the best part of 3 years toiling away to produce the world's best soccer ball.
Most of people just think, oh, this is a round ball, what can you do about it? It's not simple.
In order to develop and test their new design, the team had to create a series of new testing procedures and some bizarre new machines.
Since we are the first to invent these products, usually we have to invent our test procedures as well and the machinery. So we invent the whole thing around it.
The first challenge facing the team was to ensure the ball would be fast through the air. The average free kick in soccer reaches a speed of 68 miles per hour. But in order for the ball to fly quickly, it must be perfectly spherical to minimize air resistance. The problem with a traditional leather ball is that as it gets older, it becomes bumpy and loses its shape. Think of an old basketball. The same happens to a traditional leather soccer ball. So the team created a unique outer panel design aimed at making their ball not just rounder, but also more resilient to wear and tear. This ball's propeller-shaped curves interlock, removing straight lines from its surface and making it perfectly smooth, a major advance on the classic pentagon design. Inside, the ball also has 2 more layers, an internal polyester lining and a latex inner core, which help ensure it maintains its shape during a match.
We have achieved here a new standard of roundness, so it's proven. It's the roundest ball in the world so far. That's what I can clearly say.
The next challenge for Hans and the engineers was to make the ball 100% water resistant.
You can find balls absorbing a lot of water, up to, let's say, 50% of the initial weight.
It needs to be waterproof because, as any footballer knows, a wet soccer ball is sluggish, doesn't bounce, and won't spin. The Achilles heel of old-fashioned balls lies in the seams, where the outer shell segments are joined together with stitching. These seams wear over time and can eventually become waterlogged. The team's solution was to do away with stitching altogether and instead use a brand new thermal bonding technology to join the segments. To test the waterproofing, they created their very own water absorption tester.
It tries to simulate the real game condition and gives a good indication about the ball's property in terms of water absorption. And with the new balls, there is 0% water uptake.
Having created an aerodynamic and waterproof ball, the next challenge was to see how it would stand up to the rigors of the modern game.
The machine is like a washing machine, but washing machines have very smooth inner walls. We have very rough inner walls. We cannot afford having you going out for 1 year, play around with the ball 2-3 times a week. We need to simulate it, and this machine simulates within 4 hours the wear of a full year. It's kind of a grinding environment in there.
But it isn't just Klaus and his giant appliance that spins the ball. When David Beckham bends one of his celebrated free kicks, he's exploiting one of the principal laws of soccer physics. A spinning ball curves in the direction of spin. But any player who's ever tried to spin a cheap plastic soccer ball knows that it's virtually impossible. That's because in order to create spin, you need friction between your foot and the ball. For a soccer ball designer, that means creating an outer layer with grip. The team's answer was a specially designed, spin-friendly synthetic leather cover that's good for free kickers and bad for goalkeepers. Coming up, find out how scientists put the ultimate soccer ball to the test. Having created what they hoped was the perfect soccer ball, the design team at Adidas needed to find someone at the top of his game to put their new ball to the test. No, not him. Because the point was, to test the ball's response, they needed someone who could kick it exactly the same way, time after time. Even Beckham can't do that. Meet RoboFoot.
This testing machine is important for us to learn about the accuracy of the ball, how the ball flight is different to the earlier balls, the competitor balls, and with regard to shoe structure as well, we want to learn how the ball reacts in the air. We can turn the foot, which is more or less the David Beckham technique.
This robotic leg can repeat exactly the same shot at the same angle and speed, time and time again.
The repeatability of the machine is really high, otherwise it would not be possible to do such a kind of Wilhelm Tell test.
In fact, Klaus is so confident in RoboFoot's prowess, he's willing to risk a black eye. It's a pity that the English national team can't hire one of these for their next penalty shootout.
Good.
You need to be tough to work here.
But it's one thing to test a soccer ball with machines. The real question is, what's it like once you get out on the field? So to get an independent opinion, we've cornered American World Cup goalkeeper Marcus Hahnemann. We've asked him to give this newfangled ball a test play.
The World Cup ball, how it's a little bit smoother. It tends to fly through the air a little bit more, and you know, there's so many different variables that have effect on it, but they fly like crazy, and you have you know, obviously a problem with the grip, but the wind has less effect on this ball because it's almost seamless, less panels. But just the speed of these things is just incredible.
After 3 years of grueling research and a truly whacked-out collection of robots, Hans and the team were ready. Just before the 2006 World Cup kicked off, in front of the world's media, they finally unveiled their Uber ball. Perfect in every detail. Just a few weeks later, in the final penalty shootout of the tournament, Italy hammered the Uber ball into the back of France's net, winning the cup 2-1. Bad for France, good for the boys back at Team Adidas.